Coach's Corner with Coach Heck and the infamous Coach Patrick King. You're stuck with me, man.
I'm stuck.
You are stuck with me. I ain't going anywhere.
There's a lot of people that are jealous of me for sitting here, and there's some people that there's a little sympathy going on at the same time.
There's more people that are sympathetic to you. I'm just saying that much right now.
How long did you guard Larry Bird?
For about 4 or 5 minutes, the rest of the half.
How did he do? How'd you do against him?
Between myself and my roommate, Don McLaughlin, we held him to 48 that afternoon.
Just remember what Ron Heklinski said today. Man, you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good. Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner with Heck and King. It's Monday, October 21st. Quick shout out to Tony Lesher with Health Markets Insurance. Whether you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, you can call Tony 574-307-8882 or T. Letcher, that's LETCHER.com. And without further ado, here are the pillars of our community. It's Pat Monty.
We are live on a Monday night at Dorman's Old Town Tap. The great Pat King to my right, the great Kenny Peterson to Pat's right. Well, we got a couple friends in here tonight. Let me make this clear. We don't have a lot of friends, right?
No.
So when we get a couple of friends coming in, Mark Zellweger and the great Rich Coddens, man, when we get a couple of friends coming in, we have a blast. And, the intro to me, I love the intro because it talks about, guys, it talks about when Pat King played at Butler. And when he played at Butler, he had a chance to guard Larry Bird. Okay. They were down. He was like the 15th man out of 14, and they were down. Pat gets in there. So I asked Pat, I said, Pat, how many did Larry get on you? He said, I held him to 48. 48? The hell? Now, how many is it today? 38?
I'm trying to remember. I might not have played in that game. I can't remember. It might say DMP next to my name. Every time you ask me a question, I played less and less.
Yeah, but so this is going to be a great show tonight. A lot of great football to talk about. Some baseball. The World Series is back in action next week. So next week I'm going to try and have my great friend Rich Donnelly, the Major League Baseball coach for maybe 25 years on. Tonight we're going to have the great Chuck Freeby on. Chuck is well known in Michiana, Northern Indiana, whatever you want to call it. For his knowledge of high school athletics, he has great knowledge of Notre Dame athletics, and so Chuck's going to be on with us tonight at about 7. But great show tonight, right?
Well, first of all, let's get a medical report on Heklinski here, so we know what we can say and what we can't say here. How are we feeling?
Yeah.
Are the drugs still working?
Yeah, no.
The painkillers still work?
As of today, I am an OxyContin addict, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm addicted to OxyContin.
So you have to check your kidney and liver. Then.
Yeah, no, I just got to get my liver checked once every 10 days. But it's going on. It's going on 5 weeks.
That's somebody else's liver as of 25 years ago, right?
28.
Okay, 28.
28 years with my liver transplant.
Wow.
I'm going on 5 weeks with my broken neck, and to say 24/7 in a collar, sleeping, everything, but.
Everything.
But
he
what
reminds
else?
us of everything.
He does.
But when you think about the alternative and how close, I can't even joke around with it. I used to joke, but I can't because
you're vertical and all 4 things.
Yeah.
You walked in here and obviously your hand, arms, and legs work.
Yeah. It's
still waving them at you.
It's a millimeter from not working.
You could coach. You could be on the practice floor if you had to, couldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I was coaching, if my team was playing and I had to get out and coach, I would be a shitty coach, but I could get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Just because of my passion and my love for the sport. But my wife and I mean, she understands the ramifications of the cash cow being gone, right?
Well,
And she understands that.
yeah.
And so
Are we allowed to say that you must be healthy because she skipped town on you?
she's in Greece.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know if that was a secret or not.
no, and my two boys are taking care of me, and
Yeah. How's that going?
that's cool. That's cool. One of my boys will be in here tonight. But hey, I'm doing what I got to do. I got let me see, 7 more weeks, and then I'll be rolling again, man.
Well, I just got back from seeing my 2 kids this last weekend. I was in Dallas for a couple of days. I was in Nashville for a couple of days. I can give you expert, firsthand knowledge of the Ball State Vanderbilt game from the other night.
Yeah, that score surprised me. I thought Ball State would get their ass handed to them after Vandy coming away with the great game that they had the week before.
Vandy kind of took a nap because they kicked off, and Ball State took the opening kickoff 75 yards, 10 plays, and scored. 7-minute drive, just stuck it right down their throat. It was 7-0, and you could hear all the chirps over in the corner of the end zone down there with all the Ball State people. They had a good crowd.
I mean, as far as being in coaching, I mean, I coached for 40 years. You coached for 40 years. If we could figure out how to get a team not to take another team lightly. Yeah. I mean, you practice them hard. The week of practice is tough leading up to it because you don't want your team to take anybody lightly. I mean, respect all and fear none, but that's the magic of coaching high school kids and really of even coaching college kids, because I know Marcus Freeman talked about it in length. And one of our Mishawaka kids is on that Notre Dame team, Justin Fisher, and he told me at length that week of practice before Northern Illinois was as tough a week of practice as they had all year.
Is that right?
Yeah, because we're not going to sleep on Northern Illinois.
No.
And then what happens?
They slept on Northern Illinois.
No, they sleep on Northern Illinois, but it's the human factor.
Oh, sure.
Where they know, we're not running out of the tunnel to play Louisville.
Right.
We're running out of the tunnel to play a MAC school, and no matter what those coaches say, we're going to beat their. We're going to beat their ass by 40, and that's just how it's going to be.
I'll give you a couple of things.
And that ain't it.
Let's think about the Vanderbilt situation. 3 weeks ago now, they beat Alabama. And by the way, the goalposts were nice and cleaned up. They got it out.
They fished them out of the Cumberland River.
They fished it out of the Cumberland River, and they brought it back, and they got it set up, and you couldn't tell which one was which. They look good as new. Then they turn around and go to Kentucky, beat Kentucky on the road.
Great win.
And then
to beat Kentucky.
And they come back, and they have to play Ball State, knowing that this coming week, guess who they play this week?
Who?
Texas.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Texas comes to Nashville on this coming Saturday. So you've got Alabama, Kentucky, Texas with Ball State squeezed in there.
Yes.
Okay, which game are you going to rest people?
Yeah, and the bottom line is you ain't resting people. You got to go in and play.
So they
got to go in and play.
They played about a quarter and a half, and it was 24-14. So if you bet the spread. If you took Ball State, you won. You won some money because I think it was a 22-point game.
Well, I'll tell you this, guys. You were talking about getting kids ready. Sarkisian's not going to have a problem getting Texas ready for this game on Saturday because all he's got to do is remind them, look what they did to Alabama. Right, and that should be the attention getter.
Scott, if you'll do some research for me, I was just reading before we came on the air something about Texas is going to pull the plug on Ewers for the rest of the year so he can get ready to turn pro, and they're going to hand things over to Arch Manning the rest of the season.
Really?
I need to find out if that's just somebody talking.
I think you got ball sack.
That ain't true.
If there's any truth to that.
That ain't true.
That sounds like
so wherever you got that info from, there is no way that guy that gave you that info is on Magic Mind. There is no way that he takes Magic Mind.
Nice segue.
Because Magic Mind is wonderful when it comes to remembering, to making yourself just relaxed and getting in the flow of life. Magic Mind coachescorner20.com and type in Coaches Corner 20 and you get a 20% discount. I've taken it for, I don't know, a couple months. I remember everything. I can give you the lineup for the 1969 Cubs.
Well, I'm just starting to remember where I heard that. I heard it right at the very end of a Kamala for president.
Yeah. Okay.
Endorsement.
Let's don't go political here.
It was right. It was, by the way, 'cause it was a Texas thing. All right.
Here, I found a good tweet that'll put that rumor to rest.
Okay.
It's,
Tweet for us.
Somebody. This is CJ Vogel on Twitter, who is a reporter for On Texas Football, which I would imagine is like SB
All
Nation's
time.
Texas account. And Quinn Ewers posted on his Instagram story a picture of Donald Trump saying fake news in regards to rumors about him. So
No, he's playing. He's playing. He's a competitor,
There you go.
and Sarkisian has done a great job in bringing Arch Manning along, letting him play a couple games. But I mean, playing 2 games, and that does not burn up his redshirt year.
No.
He's still got a redshirt year. He'll be the starting quarterback for the Longhorns for 3 years. And depending on how good he gets, he'll make a lot of money.
Well, go ahead. Kenny, go ahead.
I have to share this with you guys because we were talking about Texas playing at Vanderbilt. Take a guess at how many times they've played in their histories.
2.
0.
Wrong again. Mustache breath.
What is it?
This will be the 13th meeting between the teams. You want to take a guess at the record?
Yeah, 13-0 Texas.
Wrong again, man with
12
neck brace.
0.
Wrong again, announcer man.
What is it?
8-3-1.
Oh, geez.
Vanderbilt.
All right.
Vanderbilt, right there.
Fake news.
Back in the 20s.
Hey,
First time they've played since 1928.
Kenny will
Ah,
do
yeah,
that
I was right.
research. Hey, Scott, before we go to commercial, let's finish a season. Yesterday afternoon, while I was at the airport waiting on one of my flights to get canceled, WNBA finals, final game. New York Liberty finally win.
All right, name
Minnesota.
All
Name
right.
one player, right?
No. Okay, name me 2 players that play for the New York Liberty.
Well, I've got them written down so I can cheat.
Okay.
One
Brianna
Brianna Stewart. The
Okay.
other Sabrina Anisha, or huh? All I know is, yeah. Well, let's just go. She's the one that hit that like logo 3 in game 3 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was good basketball. But yesterday, she's 1 for 19.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
gosh.
and 1 for 10 from threes. I mean, if her name would have been Zeltwanger, I'd sat her ass down. And Brianna Stewart was 4 of 15.
If it was Zeltwanger, you could have told him go transfer and play
Well,
at Bremen.
You got to remember, Zeltwanger's
He'd have been a
daughter,
star.
Zeltwanger's daughter, and my daughter both grew up playing basketball together, and they both thought they were shooters. And you know what they say in the locker room? The most dangerous player on a team is a bad shooter who thinks he's a good shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're still firing the rock.
But yeah, so Sabrina is 1 of 19, and the last play of the game, who'd they set up a shot? They were down 2. It wasn't her, it's Brianna Stewart, who had just missed 2 free throws. And they fouled her with 4 seconds left, and she makes 2 to put it in overtime. Then they win in overtime. So good for the Liberty. The WNBA season, and they had their biggest attendance of the season. Even these games here were the most attended finals ever. So good for the girls. Now I'm reading something about they're talking about contracts for next year. So
Oh dear. They think the money's all there now. It's just not there yet.
yeah, that's a whole. That's
Yeah,
a story
it'll
for
be
a
there
whole
though
other day.
because of Caitlin Clark and
Yes.
Angel Reese and those girls put the WNBA on their back
Right.
and carried it. And for doing that, Caitlin Clark has got to get mugged every time she's on the court.
Right.
But they don't understand that the money, the private airplane flights, all the amenities that have improved are because of
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin
Because of
Clark.
NBA subsidies.
Yeah, good point. Well, Scott, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some college football. We'll get Chuck Freebie in here pretty soon.
We will.
and
We'll get
talk.
Chuck.
We need. And I know what I was going to talk about. Remind me of this. IU has a new quarterback coming in, but we were talking about something about people getting ready for teams. And somebody mentioned, I just want to put this in front of you. People, even today during the talk shows, were talking about IU, and they're still wondering, okay, it's IU. And did Nebraska think about that when they came in here, when they're thinking, okay, it's IU. We've played IU before, and we know what to anticipate. So when they got taken to the woodshed, their players were thinking, okay, we're going to play 2.5 quarters. We might get one series in, and by third quarter, the third string will be in here, and we'll leave and go back home happily ever after. It didn't happen.
No, Gus Johnson put it best on Fox. He goes, IU, America, they've got a football team now, and they can play.
It's good.
Yeah,
point.
no, it's called it's called NIL. It's called Kurt Cignetti, who on day one said, I win. All I do is win. And one of the reporters goes, so what do you mean by that? And he said, just Google me.
Just look it up.
Just Google me, and all I do is win. And that's true. Let's take this to a break, Scott. Get our sponsors on, our great sponsors. I need to get another sponsor because I need to get a free haircut out of Rich Codds. He's sitting there. He's the best barber in this city. I need to get a freebie.
We'll be back with more Coach's Corner right after this.
Medicare plans can be confusing, but they don't have to be. I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I can help you compare your options because I'm appointed with many nationally recognized carriers. With my help, you can find the coverage that fits your needs and budget. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Facing the loss of a loved one can be overwhelming, filled with questions and stress. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka is here to provide compassionate support during these challenging times. With a deep commitment to the families they assist, Han Funeral Homes aims to deliver exceptional care and service. Their dedicated team of experienced funeral directors and staff is ready to guide and support you through every aspect of funeral planning. Located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka, Han Funeral Homes invites you to reach out at 574-255-1474 or visit their office for personalized assistance. Han Funeral Home, a family serving families. Looking to get your driver's license and hit the road with confidence? Choose Fricks Driving School, Northern Indiana's top-rated driving school. At Fricks, they offer expert instruction for anyone aged 16 and up, tailored to help you master the skills you need for a lifetime of safe driving. Their experienced instructors ensure you're well prepared for both the written and behind-the-wheels tests, and one of those instructors is our very own Coach King. Located on Addison Road in Mishawaka, they provide flexible scheduling and personalized lessons to fit your needs. Plus, they offer the state driving test in-house for just $65, making the process even more convenient. Call them today, 574-256-0650, or visit fricksdrivered.com to learn more. Back with more Coach's Corner with Kenny, Pat, and Ron. Coming up, we've got the recap of college football. So that ought to be a lot of fun. We'll get to it right. Now we're just grooving.
Yeah, so that great music is played by the Black Sedan Band in Birmingham, Alabama, and my brother Donnie is the drummer for that band. What great music. So if you have any interest, they travel, man. They travel. If you have any interest to hire a band, let me know. We'll get you the Black Sedan Band. So we talked about having a couple guests in here, and one of the guests has been somebody that I've been around ever since I might have been 5 years old. Rich Coddens, and if you remember that name, Coddens' name, Rich Coddens' uncle was the legendary coach at South Bend Riley, Don Coddens, right, Rich?
Right, that's Uncle Don.
Yep. Yeah. So that team that he had, 1973. Can you name some of the names or the guys on that team?
Well, there was T.D. Shelton, number one guard in there. I mean, this kid had everything until he got hurt. And the Ricky King was another one. Ricky King could do about anything he wanted with a basketball. And he had was Turk and some of these other guys.
Turk Chambliss.
Yeah, man, those guys could. They were big and tall, and they could shit and get, as we said back in the
Yeah,
old
no,
days. They could fly, they could jump, and they were ahead of themselves. But they all got hurt. And Turk got his back hurt, and T.D. Shelton hurt his thigh. Man, those guys at one time, I think, could have beat anybody, any high school team in the country.
So I always thought Ricky King was the smoothest and best high school player I ever saw.
Well, he was tough.
Yeah. He was tough. Who beat Riley in the semifinals of the South Bend Sectional in 1973?
I must have been that the Indians.
The
No, the Indians. They can't be Indians.
No. Stop that. It's not. We ain't the Huskies. Once an Indian, always an Indian, man.
Oh man, I tell you, what a stupid thing that is. I mean,
That Heglinski, I think, had 40 that night.
Laskowski and
no,
No.
those were different times.
Laskowski had graduated.
Yeah,
Tom Abernathy had graduated. So we had Dave Kuzmitz, who ended up playing at Notre Dame. Yeah, I played. Brian Bella played. Jimmy Goddard from the West Side played. We had a transfer from Central named Perry Coleman. Perry Coleman came over and played, and then Bob Donewald was an outstanding coach. And we put a game plan together and beat Riley. And then the next night in the championship game, Jimmy Webb and Booney Hill and Steve Austin.
Austin Adams.
Yeah. John Adams beat us. And then Adams went downstate and got beat in the state championship game by
New Albany.
New Albany.
You know who New Albany beat?
But that was
No.
what was Leonakis in those
Anderson.
days? He was coaching somewhere. He was coaching.
George Leonakis was the head coach at South Bend LaSalle.
Yeah.
South Bend LaSalle. And when you talk about great coaches, George Leonakis at LaSalle, Dave Hadaway at Adams, the great Don Coddens at Riley, Bob Donewald at St. Joe. I mean, you had great high school basketball in this area.
Well, we did. It was. Yeah, they were all tough. I mean, it was amazing how much athleticism we had up here. We still have it, but it's just not. It's not culture. I got my own opinions of some of those guys that were here, and they're now gone. Thank goodness we get some new guys in here.
Yeah.
But,
So
another one we hadn't mentioned was Tom DeBate.
Tommy. Tommy took that Clay team to win the state championship.
1994.
Yes.
You guys got to remember that's another relative,
No, I know. He's related to. I know that. I know Tommy's
It's in the
related to
blood.
you.
My problem was I was too slow and I couldn't jump.
Yeah, but
And I was a 3-point shooter.
we
We didn't have a 3-point shot then.
Back in the 70s.
yeah. So here's a little story about Uncle Don. Back in the day, it was a different day, obviously, but Marilyn and Carolyn Coddens were the best looking girls in the city of South Bend.
Their name was Meyer? No, Major.
Oh yeah. Marilyn and Carolyn Major.
Right.
They were the best. And guys would say, "Man, could you fix me up with one of them?" And it always came back, "Well, no, Maryland's dating Don Coddens, the coach of Riley." And Don Coddens in Maryland today.
Can't talk about that. That's not really today. It doesn't fly today.
No, but it wasn't today. It was yesteryear, and they've had so Marilyn Coddens goes on and has just a Hall of Fame career at South Bend, Washington.
Yeah, she's a Hall of Famer now.
And her assistant coach was Don Coddens.
That's right. Yeah. Marilyn never played a game of basketball in her life, but I'll tell you what, she did great. She started out in junior high school, coaching the boys over at one of the Adams. What's that? Just off Ironwood.
Jefferson,
Off of Ironwood.
Madison.
Edison.
Edison.
She coached at Edison,
Yeah.
and that's where she started out coaching the boys, and then she switched over to coach the girls. She had some talent, a little bit. She had a little bit of talent.
Oh, Skylar.
Yeah.
That was the day of Skylar, right?
Yeah, she turned out to be okay.
She was Skylar's coach.
She had
And
the
then They
Batiste
gave her up,
girls.
and last year let her stepdad take over for her,
Yeah.
so he could coach her.
She had Jackie and
That was
Margaret
a great,
Batiste
great
also.
basketball people. But yeah, they talk basketball. I mean, they even know as much as I do, and I think I know everything. So.
You do know everything.
Remember that?
He said no. on. So what's it called? I mean, we used to call it like Roseland or Dixie Way Highway. Is that what it is?
Roseland,
Yeah, Roseland. It's called Rich. And he is the absolute best. Well, I mean, he's cut your hair for how many years?
50 years.
50 years.
Yeah.
No, he cut my dad's hair. He cut all my brother's hair, and he is the absolute best.
Best customer ever.
I know.
No, he's not.
And
Did he tip well? Is what I want to know.
did he tip you well? Does he tip you well? What's a tip?
You probably,
What's a tip?
Zellweger probably spent enough money in there to buy a chair for him. Replace the chairs.
Oh, I thought it was a sports or not comedy show.
No. So my dad, we used to take my dad. My dad, lived to be 83, 84. We take him at 83. He said, I got to go to Rich's. I said, Dad, your hair ain't grown since the last time we went there. He says, I don't care. Rich has got to line me up. And we'd take my dad, and Rich would line him up great, man. All right. So here's the deal. So I can't take this brace off. I can only take it off to jump in the shower for like 3 minutes, and then they got to put a water brace on me. So I look like John Lennon if I take all my stuff off here. It's a good look, but I still need to get a haircut. So I'm gonna call and stop in
My goodness.
and get a haircut. Okay, man.
Monica will say, are you really sure about this?
I just give him a number 2 and get it over with.
I was thinking about
he will
shaving.
not get that back of that haircut off. He promised himself that he'll never he's got the liver for that guy. He's going to leave his hair long for him. And what a great thing that is. I mean, people talk about this, they talk about that, but that's been about 20 some years ago, Ronnie.
28 years ago, my guy that donated my liver was a musician. And I said, in honor of him, I'm gonna have the mullet year round.
Hey, what a great thing.
So I go to Rich one day and I go, Rich, you can't touch the mullet. And he goes, let me clean it up for you. Let me line it up for you. I said, you can't cut it. You wanted to line it up just a little bit. Right. Anyway, so we're going to jump back on this show. We have Chuck on, right?
Chuck wants, he's got a couple things he needs to say. That's for sure.
Hey, thanks, Rich and Mark. Thanks, guys. And look who comes in, Bugsy Heck and his girlfriend Lily come in. Jeez, what's up, man? All right, what do we got here? We have
Chuck, look what I got. Isn't this a sad look here? What do you think?
Oh,
Chuck. You can say what you do. We've had all the prayer vigils we need, so you can say what you're thinking.
This is every lawyer's dream right here. Because here's the problem. It's not his lawyer's dream. It's the other lawyer's dream because Heck won't stay quiet.
You're 100. You're about 20. You're right. 20%
right.
You're right, man. And thanks for joining us, man. When we talked about having you on, we said Michiana, we said Northern Indiana, we said the top half of the state. Chuck Freeby knows it. He knows high school football. He knows Notre Dame. He knows college football. Thanks for coming on and spending, a Monday night with us talking some sports, man.
Great to be with you guys. Even Ken.
No, Kenny. Hey, Kenny's in the picture.
When he was on his way home, and then we told him that Chuck was going to be here, and he made a U-turn and came back from New Carlisle.
Yeah.
So
I was going to go help.
A U-turn to you guys.
That's the respect that he has for you. So there's some credentials for you.
Well, I just want to say before we start talking sports, a sincere congrats to you and your family for Saturday. What a beautiful day that was. I saw the pictures online. I think you were glowing more than your daughter. I mean, what a beautiful day, Chuck.
The funny thing is, so for those of you who don't know, my daughter Mary got married on Saturday, and they threw open the doors at St. Pius. It was such a beautiful day that they had us enter through the courtyard there in the back of the sanctuary. And people said when they threw open the doors, it looked like heaven, and they thought they had seen an angel, and then I walked in too.
So high school football sectionals now.
Yeah.
so I mean, do we want to go through them? Do you want to kind of give us your feedback at the local sectionals and your thoughts on them and what teams you've seen play, what teams you know are pretty good. Let's start with the.
Well, Chuck has seen some people that we haven't seen, and you've been east a lot more, and you've been south more than we have as well.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking between the two, I guess right off the bat, I'm looking at that 4A sectional over toward Fort Wayne.
Okay.
How good is East Noble and CC and those people that are involved in there? Because I'm looking at numbers, and Leo, I'm looking at numbers. Those guys are the real deal.
That's a really competitive sectional, and I think whoever comes out of there is a huge problem there. East Noble and Leo is going to be a heck of a semifinal, and I have to assume that that's going to happen. And then you're sitting there with Columbia City on the other side,
Right.
But you never underestimate Dwenger because they're such a quality program. I mean, CC should win that game, but I wouldn't underestimate Dwenger. And Wayne's been giving some teams some problems this year. I don't think they're in Columbia City's league, but Leo's got this shot kid who we saw last year. We saw Leo in the semi-state last year against Northwood. And the shot kid who's going to Miami, not Miami University over in Oxford, but the University of Miami, the U.
In
At the
Coral
U.
Gables, yeah.
And he's the real deal. You want to make sure he's the first guy off the bus because he looks the part. So I like that sectional as highly competitive, but I have to think Leo's got a little bit of an advantage just because they've won before.
Yeah, good point. And I'm looking at the entire North semi-state over there. East Noble, CC, and Leo are 1, 2, and 3, and then Mishawaka's 4th in the semi-state, and New Prairie is 9th if you go through the power ratings as far as teams. So, like I said, 1, 2, and 3 are all in the same sectional, and then Dwenger's 8.
Yeah.
So let's say if New Prairie was over there, they'd be the 5th best team in that sectional.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that has worked well for teams up here in the past is like the sectional that we talk about a lot, the one that's right above that on the diagram with Northwood and Mishawaka and Plymouth. Mishawaka is clearly the favorite in that sectional just because they have beaten everybody that they've played so far in that sectional. They've beaten all the NLC teams in that sectional. St. Joe is playing better. We had St. Joe on probably its worst night of the season when Marion just cleaned their clocks. So it's hard for me to get really excited about what St. Joe can do in that sectional. On the other hand, Northwood's got quarterback problems. They've got people all banged up. They have all year. So could St. Joe work its way to a sectional final and play Mishawaka, which I believe was a sectional final? I want to say 2017, 2018. Ashton Ruskowski was a quarterback for St. Joe, and it looked like St. Joe was going to win that sectional, and Mishawaka found a way to take it from him. I think that might have been Keith's first year at Mishawaka. But Keith has such a solid team. They don't beat themselves. Yes, they're young and they have sophomores in key positions, but Mishawaka is clearly the favorite in that sectional. And one of the things that they have that not a lot of teams around here have is they just have team speed. They are so fast. And the Snyder boys. Used to be you worried about the Fisher boys. Now you worry about the Snyder boys.
Yeah, they're straight up. They're straight up athletes. Jackson Snyder plays basketball. Also, Landon Snyder, the sophomore quarterback, also plays basketball. And he's jumped into that quarterback position and is running that flex bone as well as any of those guys. And out of all of them, Justin Fisher, Brady Fisher, Sam
Schrader was really good.
Yeah,
Cortez Lee was really good.
Yeah, and Landon Snyder might be the quickest of all of them when he makes that read and gets into the open field. Now, here's a question for you. some of the people are really up on Plymouth. Plymouth has done this. Plymouth has rejuvenated their program. They're back winning a little bit, and I'm a person that believes this. When Plymouth is relevant, high school sports here in Northern Indiana is good because Plymouth is a traditional team. And Mishawaka beat Plymouth handily. I don't think Plymouth can come back and beat Mishawaka. Do you?
I tend not to think so. No, I think Plymouth will handle Wawasee, but Mishawaka didn't really have any problem with Plymouth, and I think one of the problems that Mishawaka poses for people is people tend to underestimate their defense. Matt Lewinsky does a really nice job with that defense, and they play together as a unit, and I think that really showed in week 2 when they beat Penn, and then they've been able to carry that on throughout. Remember, this Mishawaka team, you really have to be able to play smash mouth to beat them. The 2 teams that beat them this year were Concord and Warsaw, and they were able to overpower them physically. They were able to beat them, and yet Concord only beat them by a point. Keith went for 2, it didn't go. And Warsaw only beat them by 8. So this is a really good 4A team in Mishawaka. Will they be good enough to beat the team that comes out of the Leo, Columbia City, East Noble area? I don't know. It's tough to say that with a sophomore quarterback, but I like the Cavemen in that sectional.
Well, and Chuck, one of the things I was going to mention and pick your brain a little bit, not so much in 4A, but especially 5A and 6A, the Indianapolis teams just dominate those two divisions. 4A, not so much. I'm looking here, in the south part, obviously New Palestine is pretty good. They're number 1. Then you got Chittard, Roncalli, and Brebeuf. Can Mishawaka, can Leo, can they play with those teams? That's who they're going to have to see when they go to Indianapolis. It'd be a nice problem to have to get to go to Indianapolis and play with them. But are they in the same league with them? I'm looking at the power ratings, and the power ratings say no, they can't play with them. They're just the next step above them.
Until somebody goes down there and does what hasn't been done in this area since 2005.
Jeez.
Until somebody does it, how can any reasonable person say, "Oh yeah, a team from up here from the north should be the favorite in 4A or 3A or any of the upper classes?"
Yeah, 5A. Concord's number 1, but can they compete with the Indianapolis teams when they go south? I don't know. Yeah. Hey, let's jump. Kenny, let's talk about the smaller. We were going to ask about Knox maybe and Judson. What do you know about them?
Yeah, you've seen them. Yeah, you had a chance to see Judson, I think, week 1, if I'm not mistaken. They're the real deal, aren't they?
Judson is the best team in 1A and should win the state championship.
Wow, and you heard that here from the great Chuck Freeby.
They can beat all the private schools. Is that what you're saying?
I think they can.
Is Lutheran 1A or 2A this year?
I believe they're up to 2A too.
I think they got bumped up to 2.
They went up to 2A, as did Adams Central. So it's been thinned out a lot, but boy, this Judson team is so good. Cole, start in the middle. They've got a kid named Cole Kozakar as their center and their nose tackle, who, in my opinion, is a MAC college player. And then in the backfield, you've got Brock Benson, who is now the school's all-time leading rusher. You've got Cole Wilcox, who is just a physical specimen. This kid does nothing. I swear this kid does nothing but lift all day. And and he's fast, too. So he's 3rd in the state in scoring, I think. They don't turn the ball over. They don't beat themselves. They just punish you physically. Knox went over to North Judson. Knox is a 3A school. And a good 3A school, a well-coached 3A school, and North Judson physically manhandled them.
Knox has the 8th leading rusher in the state, right? Oh no, in the country. Correct?
Miles McLaughlin is the real deal. He can fly. He's a terrific running back. I just don't know that they have enough pieces around him. And the way that Knox has lost games, well, North Judson was overly physical with them. Bremen just threw over the top of them. When Bremen's healthy in 2A, they can be a special team. The problem Bremen has is they have Andrean in their same sectional.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
what I was
makes it
looking
really
at.
tough for them to get out of 2A. But that should be the sectional final in that particular sectional is Bremen and Andrean. But I don't see anybody at this end of the state that can challenge North Judson this year. Now, I don't see the Southern teams, but you're going to have to be really good because I think North Judson could be a contender. Really, well, they beat a really good 3A team in Knox. I mean, Knox, you can make an argument that they could win that sectional. And we're talking about North Judson team that beat them by 21.
Yeah, we've been talking that they if they played a 3A or 4A schedule this year, they might have done pretty well.
Yeah,
I mean, they're that good. They're this good. They are. When you mentioned it in 2A, you've got Andrean, Wheeler, and Bremen all in the same sectional, and then you got LCC and Western Boone in the other sectional, and they'll have to play each other. And that's the North Semi-State along with Adams Central, Bluffton, and Rochester. So
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen
2A,
Rochester. I haven't seen Rochester. I think they're a good team, and this might be the year that they win a sectional. How much of a run they can make past the sectional, I don't know, but I think they're the favorite in their sectional.
Well, if they win the sectional, they'll have to play Adams Central in the regional.
Yeah, good luck on that because
exactly.
I've seen Adams
What's your
Central
take?
a couple of
What's your
times.
take on Logan Sport? Have you seen Logan Sport at all this year?
I haven't seen the Berries this year, so I don't have a take on Logan Sport.
Back in 1978, Dave Reisner hired me for my first coaching job was at Knox High School. Dave Reisner was the head football coach. I coached freshman basketball and assistant football. The head coach back in '78 at North Judson was the great Russ Radke.
Yes, he was.
He's been doing this forever, and wherever Russ Radke goes, whether it's New Prairie, whether it's North Judson, whether it's Connorsville, he just does a fantastic job and wins. And he can only stay maybe 5 or 6 years because he works the program hard. He pushes not only the players but everybody else around the program. Yeah. But once he's there, and if he's at your school, your program's going to be a good high school football program.
Russ Radke cares about 4 things. He cares about farming. He cares about antique tractors. He cares about he cares about basketball officiating, and he cares about football. And that's it. He doesn't care about anything else in life. And if you can strike up a conversation with him in one of those 4 subjects, you're golden. Whenever I see him, and Pat and Ron, you'll appreciate this. Whenever I see him, I say, how many basketball games are you going to do this year? And he said, well, I'm going to limit my schedule this year. And I said, you know what? I said, that's a shame because I hear so many things about you from coaches. And he's like, oh, yeah, like what? And I said, well, they said you call a game like you spell your name with no I's.
Yeah, so he's got a game at Anderson. I'm at Anderson, for a long run. He's got a game at Anderson, and I'm getting stupid. I mean, I don't know. We're not playing well, so I think it's the officials' fault. It's not really the officials' fault. It's our team's fault. But I'm jumping Russ, and Russ goes, heck, he said, I'm going to bang you. You say another word. I said, Russ, I've seen you coach football. I've been on the opposite sideline. How can you justify teeing me when how you act on a football field? He said, you want to see, heck? Teed me up right there. And he should have. But he loves high school athletics.
Yes,
and I think when Russ Radke is in high school athletics, it's great for football in the state of Indiana.
Yeah. Chuck, I want to bring up something to you. We've been talking about Knox. I look at their sectional that they're in with Marion. How much do you think Marion playing the schedule that they've played this year is going to benefit them playing the teams in that sectional?
I think it benefits them a lot, especially if they are healthy by the time that they play probably Jimtown. And I say probably Jimtown because all I hear about lately is how Glenn has a terrific freshman quarterback that nearly beat Valley and is playing well. But I think Cody Vincent's done a marvelous job over there. And I really think he would be the Indiana Northern State Conference Coach of the Year, in my opinion. So Jimtown's got some special players. And then if Marion can get by Jimtown, a Marion Knox game would be something to behold. But Phil Mason's sitting over there at Griffith, the crafty old veteran, saying, hey, don't count us out yet either. I think the only thing that makes me kind of raise an eyebrow at Griffith is their schedule is not as strong as some others. Kenny, you mentioned Marion's schedule. I mean, when you're playing kind of teams you have to play in the NIC now, where Marion has to play Penn and New Prairie, and then they played Mishawaka out of conference. I mean, there's 3 pretty salty schools right there.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Elkhart won the section or won the conference.
And Elkhart, yeah. And you know what? They played with all those teams for about a half to 3 quarters. Then they just wear down. Well, I don't think that's going to be the case in 3A because they're the smallest school in the NIC right now.
Right.
Hey, while I've got you on here, let's talk about the big boys that have the bye next week. Tell me what you think about Penn. Tell me what you think about Elkhart. And can either one of them play with the Fort Wayne schools, or can Penn play with Crown Point?
Well, let me answer the last question first. No,
No,
they can't.
No.
Crown,
Is there
Crown
anybody?
Point,
Is there anybody up here that can play with Crown Point?
I don't think so.
Not a high school team.
No. I mean, Marcus and the boys would be favored against them, but
I was going to say Manchester College.
Would Purdue be an underdog against Crown Point?
Hey, stop that Manchester College stuff.
St. Francis or Trine?
yeah, the problem for Penn is Crown Point is in that sectional, and they're just really, really good. And Penn just has not found ways to click on offense this year. So I think that would be the problem there. To me, the sectional Elkhart is in is just fascinating. I mean, if you are a fan of big boy football and you don't go to Rice Field to watch Snyder and Elkhart, what are you even doing?
That's a good point.
Exactly.
Snyder gets moved up from 5A to 6A. They've got Tipman coaching there who really knows his stuff. They've been a terrific perennial power. Now Warren Central cleaned their clock, but Warren Central did that to a lot of teams this year. And they actually held Warren Central, I think, 14 points. And you've got that Elkhart defense with 3 D1 players in Orozco, Dye, and McPhee. And by the way, Cordero McPhee to me is the most underrated D1 player I've come across in years. I think he will be a star at Cincinnati.
Well, and Chuck, I was talking to some of the people over there at Elkhart, and they said right now he is probably the best player of the bunch as a high school player. Where the other 2 might be better college players. They've got more of a ceiling, but they're not there yet. They said, but right now he is probably the best of the 3 if you had to pick which one's the best high school player.
He's in tremendous condition because he plays both ways, and I think that helps. And his motor is always going. And I'm not necessarily sure, and I don't mean this as a bash because Marion Dye and Carmine Orozco are fine players, but sometimes I think their motor goes into idle a little bit. That is not the case for Cordero McPhee. But that Elkhart Snyder game that's going to be some hitting.
That should be a good ball game.
What games will you have, Chuck?
We have Mishawaka and Northridge this Friday, and then we wait to see what the results are and kind of make our decisions from there. I've fallen into the trap before of saying, we're going to do this game in the semifinals, and then somebody loses and you look like an idiot. And I can do that on my own. I don't need other people's help. So, we're just going to wait until we get results and pick a game on Saturday probably to go to next week.
Let me ask you this. How do you like this podcast coverage compared to TV? What kind of adjustments have you had to make, good or bad?
Well, there's a lot of good to it. I like being live. I like when I get done, I don't have to go home and wait for the broadcast to come on. I can just call it up on YouTube or this week on the IHSA network. The bad part is more of running your own business and the fact that you got to worry about a lot of things that you didn't have to worry about before because that was somebody else's job at the company. And now
the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and let me tip my cap to my partner Angelo DiCarlo because he handles a lot of the business stuff. Because quite frankly, I'm old, and I
You ain't that old. Stop.
Hey,
Stop.
look at us. We love having good assistant coaches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I mean, you let the young guy that's going to be with the business longer handle it, and I'm the eye candy. What can I say?
Exactly.
Hey,
You've
hey,
always been the eye candy.
before we move on to
then, Pat, you got to hire the right people. When you work with NACO for 20
Yeah.
years, you're the eye candy, of course.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point.
hey, before we move on to Notre Dame and talk about the Irish for a minute here, and I don't know if you did any South Bend games. What's the deal with South Bend? With South Bend athletics? What's your opinion on that?
You have no feeder program for football. They're trying to develop it. It takes time to grow, but you have no feeder program for football. So you can't take young men and the first that they actually play competitive organized football is their freshman year and put them up against other guys that have been playing since 5th grade, 4th grade, some as early as 2nd grade, and expect them to have a competitive advantage. They don't. They have a great competitive disadvantage. This is why South Bend is going to be excellent in basketball this year because the kids have been playing basketball the same amount of years as everybody else. But in football, you cannot learn that game that quickly
That's a good point.
and compete.
You're competing with the ICCL. You're competing with Rocket Football over at Penn. You've got Mishawaka Youth Football. Like you said, those other NIC programs, Elkhart has youth football, and it's organized, and it's been organized.
Okay, here's my question then. Then why doesn't South Bend put some kind of youth football program together? They have a South Bend city athletic director, right?
It's all park department stuff. Chuck, here's what my theory on this. Of course, they've never listened to me to start with, but you've got to
We don't listen to you here.
No, I know. Hell,
Okay. All right.
See,
Cool.
I got Chuck on here. I'm hoping I can get 30 seconds. out of
Okay.
him. But you got to consolidate the middle schools. They've got some middle schools that have like 10, 12 kids, so they can't play. So you've got to take 2 or 3 of them and maybe have an East Side team that feeds Adams. Get a South Side middle school team that feeds Riley. Get a West Side middle school team, let's say Dickinson and Navarre. Put them together, call them South Bend West or whatever you want to do. And then they need to get out of town instead of quit playing. The old phrase you heard us talk about, it's being South Bend good.
Oh, I mean,
how far does that get you? Adams has T-shirts.
This year
Exactly. Adams has T-shirts that say City Champs.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Because they won 2 games, right?
They're 2-0 in the city. They're 2-7, but they're city champs.
They'll be talking about that at the 30-year
So
reunion, by the way.
South Bend good has no value anymore. You got to get out of town and go play Concord's youth group. You go play Mishawaka.
Sure
Get in the ICCL.
Well, in basketball, the advantage of basketball is obviously AAU. Those guys are playing everywhere now. I know when Pat was the head coach at Adams, he took his teams down to Indy. He took his teams down south. He took his teams everywhere to play in the summer, right?
Ball State camps.
Yeah. And your point on basketball being successful is a whole different can of worms, man.
The advantage in basketball is air is cheap. You only need the
point.
air in the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you need.
You
Whereas
don't need helmets
football,
and shoulder pads.
You got to go have pads and flags and all the other things that you need to practice football. And it's an expensive sport.
So would it be inconceivable to think that at some point South Bend might just say, hey, we're dropping football. This thing ain't working for us. The money we're investing in it, and we can't seem to get it right. We're going to drop football.
I don't think that will happen.
Yeah, I don't think it will either. I don't think it will either because I think the tradition of the old South Bend, Washington football teams, Riley High School football teams with a kid named Ole Galloway. You remember Ole Galloway?
Sure.
He was a stud. All those old time traditional South Bend schools. and I say this because guys like Rick Tomaszewski, who came in and took South Bend, Washington baseball to another level, and all those other, and Reinhold. I mean, Reinbold was here for a long time anyway. I mean, Reinbold developed that program forever. So in my thinking, it's going to take some young guy, just to come in here and persevere and make that his life, because we all know when we're young coaches, when we're young coaches, that's everything in the world to us. It's never a deal where we say, oh man, it's Saturday afternoon. We are practicing. It's everything to us. But I don't know if coaches today, if young coaches want to do that. But in my estimation, if I was an athletic director at one of those schools, I'd go find me just a great, passionate young guy that knows how to relate to kids and can get kids out.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult to do. South Bend used to be a destination job, especially for coaches. It is not a destination job anymore, at least at the football level. Basketball, different story.
That's true.
Hey, Fighting Irish, man. I watch him. I think that offensive line is getting better. 54 at the start of the season was a move every game to getting his quarterback killed. I think he's doing a pretty good job now, and I think those coaches in Notre Dame got the Irish improving. What's your thought on that?
The offensive line is improving. You're speaking of Anthony Knapp, who is a true freshman, who wound up with the job because Charles Jagasa got hurt during preseason camp. They've had a number of injuries. The schedule does them some favors in the fact that the defenses that they are facing the rest of the way are not very good. So that's going to help the offense look good. And on the other side of the ball, you've got Al Golden, who has shown that he can really make in-game adjustments. And they have as much team speed as they have probably had in 30 years. If you watch the Georgia Tech game and go back and watch it, watch the linebackers and their pursuit sideline to sideline. It was absolutely amazing how they were able to get to the flanks and pursue. And, the schedule does them well. That, let's face it, they have the same record as Georgia. But Georgia has played Clemson, Alabama, and Texas. Notre Dame has played Texas A&M, Louisville, and Georgia Tech might be the third best team they've played, and they played them without their starting quarterback. So it's a little bit of an apples and an oranges comparison. All you can do, and you guys know this, all you can do is play the teams that are given to you on your schedule. When we looked at the schedule for the end of the year, if you said in Notre Dame's last 5 games, they would play 2 top 25 teams, everybody would have thought that you were talking about Florida State and USC, not Army and Navy.
No, exactly. Hey, Chuck, can you stay with us? We have to take a quick break here.
I actually can't, but you go ahead and take your break. It's been a pleasure being with you. I've got to join some people for dinner. Heck, I don't care what Monica says. You're okay.
Hey, and I appreciate that coming from you, man. I really do. Hey, thanks, Chuck. Thanks for hanging out with us for a little while and talking high school football in Michiana, man.
Thanks,
it easy,
Chuck. Guys.
Thank you, Chuck. Have a good broadcast Friday.
Thanks, Kenny. See you, Pat.
Okay, take care.
We're going to take a quick break. Scotty, line that break up, man, and we'll come back.
We'll talk some more Notre Dame.
And we'll talk some Notre Dame football.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Facing the loss of a loved one can be overwhelming, filled with questions and stress. Hahn Funeral Homes in Mishawaka is here to provide compassionate support during these challenging times. With a deep commitment to the families they assist, Hahn Funeral Homes aims to deliver exceptional care and service. Their dedicated team of experienced funeral directors and staff is ready to guide and support you through every aspect of funeral planning. Located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka, Han Funeral Homes invites you to reach out at 574-255-1474 or visit their office for personalized assistance. Han Funeral Home, a family serving families. Are you ready to take the driving skills exam but haven't gone through formal driver's education? Frick's Driving School has you covered. If you're at least 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held a valid Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months, you can schedule your driving skills exam with Frick's. They provide the vehicle for the exam. Just bring yourself, a can-do attitude, and a ride to and from the office. The exam takes about 20 minutes, and appointments can usually be scheduled within a few days, and costs $65. Call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com and book your exam today. Hey, we're back. More Keeps Corner of everything. I totally have realized that the date is wrong on the overlay that I'm putting up. So, by the magic of YouTube and Canva, I'm going to fix that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now it says the 21st. Now we'll be back. So, my blunder here. Here's some people that might be able to do things a little bit better.
The Black Sedan Band coming from Birmingham, Alabama. Man, are they good. Every time I sit here and hear their music, I remember watching them live. They're a great band. Magic Mind, and for your focus, for your energy, for less stress, for your ability to remember. Remember, what's remembering? What did I have for breakfast? I don't know. Give me the lineup for the 1969 Cubs. I got it. I can give you that. I can go farther back. I can go 1965 Bears. I can give you that lineup. What did I have for lunch? Probably bologna, but I'm not for sure. I'm just
grocery list. You got to bring the milk home.
I'm just saying, Magic Mind, magicmind.com is great. Is great for your memory. Is great for your mind. If you order it, add Coaches 20 on there, and you get a 20% discount. Look it up, and I take it. I love it. So let's slide into Notre Dame just a little bit more, and then we'll head to the flavor of the month. I dare say
IU football. Yeah,
IU could be the flavor of the month. I think Riley Leonard is getting better. I think he's throwing the ball better. I think his receivers are coming out of breaks better, and I think their passing game has improved. We know their running game is good. They totaled 168 yards against Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech had a pretty good defense. The week before against Stanford had the number one defense, the number one rushing defense in the country, and Notre Dame ran the ball against them. But for Notre Dame to be good, they got to be able to throw the ball. And I think they're doing a better job. What do you think about that, Pat?
Well, I saw maybe 2 plays of that game this weekend, but the thing I'm just in general, if you remember, he did not practice during the spring.
Right.
So his spring was really August and September. Right. Think about it. So what you're seeing now in October would be nice. If he would have had spring, he could have started the season off like this. So I think you brought some very valid points. He's getting better simply because he's getting used to playing with this group of people.
And repetition.
Exactly.
Repetition. That's what coaching is.
This is a hazard.
That's what playing
is. You bring in a transfer, and then he doesn't practice in the spring with the team.
Yeah, that's tough.
He shows up in August, and for the first time, he's not only new, but some of those freshmen are new, and some of those freshmen are big parts of his wide receiving core.
Yeah, he's 20 for 29 for 203 yards, and Mike Denbrock is the new offensive coordinator. Is designing some offense tailored to him.
Yes, right.
because there's direct snaps to him, and he's just running the football off a direct snap,
which is what they did at LSU last
which is
year.
exactly
Think about it.
right. And I like Mike Denbrock. I think he's very imaginative, and he's a proven offensive coordinator, right?
And I think really too the defense is really, I think, been the story for the whole year. I mean, I just love the way these guys play.
They gave up 64 yards on the ground last week.
They won't give up that many. They'll give up more than that this Saturday against Navy. And this is going to be their toughest test of the year, I think, because of the way Navy plays the style of ball, and they're throwing the ball better than what they have in the past. But this is a game where physically and position by position is where Notre Dame's like a 12-point favorite on Saturday. And as good as Navy is, they have not seen anything like what they'll see on Saturday. But on the flip side, Notre Dame has to try to slow down that triple option game. That they're throwing the ball better than what they have.
And from your time in Texas, it's assignment football.
Sure it is.
When you're playing against the option, it's assignment football where I don't care what happens, the defensive end has the QB. You take the QB. The tackle, you're stopping the dive, and the cornerback, you got the pitch. Now, if your assignment isn't there, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And obviously, when I was coaching in Texas, that's all we saw was the inside-outside veer. We saw a lot of wishbone, but we saw basically the veer that you see from the triple option, and that's all we did. So we ran basically it was the old Tom Landry Cowboy flex defense. But it was assignment football. Right. Middle linebacker, you've got B gaps, to the ball. You've got A gap away from the ball, depending on flow of the ball. Your lineman, you've got a 2 technique. He's got B gap. Or if you've got a slant, he goes A.
Dan, why did you coach football, man?
Well, I was an offensive coordinator, so you had to.
All this stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, outside veer, you don't block the guy over the tackle. You don't even block him.
Dang.
Yeah.
You don't block him.
That's the read.
He's the read. So the tackle comes down on middle linebacker. You do not block the 5 technique. He comes across. If he tackles the hand,
you'd still be coaching at Adams today if you were the football coach.
If he tackles the running back, you pull. That's your read.
This is what I get every Friday night. He always asks me, "Do the people understand?" Like, oh, this is you're talking their game.
Then you come down to the 9 technique, which is now a linebacker. If he turns and faces you, you pitch it.
No, and
if he stays lateral, if he steps, then you turn up and take your yardage. That's what Mishawaka does all the time.
Yeah, and I think what helps Notre Dame in preparation for this is for 4 years Notre Dame had Chase Ketterer, who was a great option quarterback at New Prairie.
Right.
And Chase Ketterer, we do not know you for 11 other weeks during the season. But 1 week during the season, when you're the scout team quarterback, we know you and we take you to dinner every night, and you help us prepare, right?
When he was the scout team quarterback, there were times where they were schooling the varsity. I mean, they were breaking away for touchdowns because he was confusing the offense.
He was that good.
That's what he grew up doing.
Yeah, and then they kicked the crap out of him after they gave up a second touchdown. And the defensive coaching staff went bananas that the scout team was whipping them.
Yeah, and nowadays, out of the shotgun, you see this every day in the colleges. They run that RPO. Right. You read the last man on the line of scrimmage. Will say on the right, and you hand off. If he slides down and acts like he's going to take the ball keep it. You pull it and you're gone. Yep. It's an easy read. If he stands there and looks at you, you give it to him. That's all they're doing.
Have you ever? That's just a regular.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
It's easy.
Okay, can I ask you this question?
Sure.
X.
So why don't you go back and coach football?
It'd be easy.
Have you thought about it?
I could sit in the booth and
seriously.
Down. That's
go
easy.
back and coach.
That's all Charlie Wise does is sit up in the booth and draw.
Would you have the energy to go do that?
Sure, I'd love it. I think it'd be fun. I love football.
Why don't we get you a job coaching football?
He could do dual roles, be on the field and broadcast.
No. Okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
See, the thing is,
We get you a job coaching football.
This high school stuff's easy because
You come back.
primitive.
You come back in the winter. We get Rich Coddens to take your place in the fall because
No.
you're coaching.
Okay.
Rich can sit right here. We can talk about all the old stuff.
But I probably wouldn't get my job back.
You'd get your job back in the winter
I'd get Walter
because
Pitt.
Rich doesn't go out a lot in the winter.
I'd get
And I
Walter
understand
Pitt.
that. So we need to do that. We
Rich
need
can
to
work
think
with
about
me
that.
on Friday nights.
Why
at the
couldn't we
New
call
Hurricanes.
Washington and say, you guys can't bust a grape?
I wouldn't. No, I couldn't go there.
You could do
What
what
about
Bill Belichick does and just do the film breakdowns.
Yeah, I could do film breakdowns with Peyton and Eli.
Yeah, let's talk about Bill Belichick right now.
I'll have our
In the
people-
news today. In the news today, Bill Belichick, 72 years old. Aaron, listen to this. Bill Belichick
He's got a new job, doesn't he?
has won 100 championships in the NFL. He's 72 years old, right?
That's not bad.
He's 4 years older than me. He's got a girlfriend that's 24.
And he
Just-
has a new job, doesn't
She's
he?
no, she's a smoke show. I saw a picture of her.
She's a trophy wife.
She's a
She
smoke
is.
show.
She's almost a year
24
too
years
old
old.
to be dating Leo DiCaprio.
What's a 20?
Stop it.
What's a 24-year-old doing with a 72-year-old? You'll tell me what they're doing. I know. I got you.
Of course, for love.
Modern medicine does what?
No,
great
so
things
you know
doesn't
what
it?
I say simply, good for you, Bill Belichick. Good for you.
Scott, what's the word down there in Dallas? Is there any truth to the story about him being the GM for the Cowboys?
Oh Lord!
Have you
Not that I've
you've
heard.
been
I was
out of
listening-
town?
I was
You
listening
were
to
out of
Indian
town
Sports
today.
Radio today about the Colts.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Oh yeah, when the Colts win, you listen to that, don't you?
Hey, the flavor of the day.
Let's talk Indiana
You
football.
got to talk.
7
You got to talk
0.
IU football.
7-0.
You called it 2 weeks ago when you
Yeah.
were here.
No, and so and obviously Kurt Signetti, their new coach, comes from James Madison, and he says his first day at the press conference, he says, "I win, and
He
I
said,
win
"Purdue
games
sucks,
wherever
Ohio
I'm
State
at.
sucks."
I win."
Yeah.
That's what he says. And they ask him another question, and he said, "Just ask Google."
Yeah.
And so if you look up Google, you look at Kurt Signetti, and every year he wins. So, and then you say, or I say, or you say, yeah, but that ain't IU.
Yeah, it ain't, yeah.
He ain't going to do this at IU.
Now I read also that he has been, as he's come up through the ranks, he was always the other guy.
Yeah.
Because he was like an assistant at Alabama, and he finally said, "I got to get out of here and be my own person." So he took a D2 job. I can't remember the exact pecking order where he had been, but he took a D2 job. Then he got small D1. Then he then he got the James Madison. Now he's at IU.
Yeah, and so the big game, hey, is IU for real, man? No, they've had a great schedule. They've had a great schedule. The toughest game was Northwestern. They played 5 other tomato cans.
Here comes Nebraska.
And they have to, and when you play tomato cans, you got to beat them. Just ask Notre Dame and Northern Illinois, although I don't know if Northern Illinois would be considered a tomato can, but I would call them a tomato can on that schedule. But so he beats them.
Pay him $2 million to come in here.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he beats the first 6, and then everybody says, well, now Nebraska's going to be the test. My ass is the test. 56-7.
Did he run? And that was with their second quarterback.
My
because
freaking ass is a test.
The big news is their quarterback got hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt. He played the first half. Curtis Rourke transferred from Ohio, and here's the deal on that stuff. It's his 6th year in college.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen every defense. Now he played at Ohio, but he's seen every defense that there's been invented.
Yeah.
He's 23, 24. I don't know.
He's older than some of the pro quarterbacks.
He's older than some of his position coaches.
He's older than Anthony Richardson.
He's making money. He's making money. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. It just came out now that he's one of the finalists for the Heisman.
Yeah.
He hurts his thumb on his throwing hand. In the first half, he's 17 for 21 for 189 yards and a TD, and they take him out. They take him out at halftime. They put their starter in from last year, Tavon Jackson.
Yeah, who's he a little brother of?
Yeah. Trace Davis Jackson,
That
Jackson Davis,
playing
or
for
is it?
Golden State.
Yeah, he's a great pro. Had a great career at IU. He comes in, he goes 7 for 8 for like 100 yards. But now they're 7-0. Now everybody they're doing the ESPN game day. It's from Bloomington. Are you kidding me?
They're the
Hope
latest
it's not
flavor.
the Curse of Corso on Saturday.
No, the
Jeez.
last time they ever did that was down at the Peanut Barrel on the square in Bloomington.
Oh Lord!
They had the Spencer radio station down there doing it.
And they're playing Washington.
Washington, who's 4-3, 2-2 in the Big Ten. I don't care who the QB is. Their running game is good. They defend well. IU is going to be 8-0. And they're 13th right now. They're 13th in the country right now.
10-0. 10-0 going to Ohio State. Heck.
And Notre Dame is 12th. Now, should Notre Dame have moved up a little bit? I think they should have. I mean, it's not like they beat Nebraska 20-17. They waxed them 31-13. But
Here's my what if. On the way home from the airport, when I was coming home from Grand Rapids today, they were talking about there is a scenario where Oregon, IU, Penn State can all three finish the season unbeaten. Who goes in the conference championship game? You got 3 teams.
Probably the 2 highest ranked teams.
Yeah, but
they said there's such an ugly tiebreaker system. They said,
yeah, but
you got to be married to certain people on a certain day of the week to to be there. They said it's
but I don't think.
But what I'm saying, because now they have the Big Ten is 18 teams. You can't play everybody. IU doesn't play some of these people.
Well,
they don't play. Oregon.
Can I get a word in edgewise here? Because I'm going to tell you.
Yet.
Okay,
Oregon,
go ahead.
IU, Penn State, all 3 unbeaten. What do you do about it?
Yeah, but IU's not going to be unbeaten because Ohio State will beat their ass.
I don't know. I don't know
I'm
about
just
that.
saying.
Heck. I disagree on that.
IU might beat, and I think IU will beat Michigan State.
What's Corso saying?
I think Mel Tucker.
Yeah. That's
Is Mel Tucker still the coach at Michigan State? Is Mel Tucker still messing around with the lady at Michigan State, or is he not? He's not there.
I don't think he's there anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's history.
They'll beat Michigan State. Michigan can. I mean, I don't think Michigan's playing a quarterback anymore.
They don't know. They don't have one.
They don't have a quarterback. They're playing a running back.
They're in the intramurals flag football looking for tryouts.
The state of Indiana will go absolutely berserk if IU can beat Michigan. But here's the deal.
What happens if they're undefeated when they go to Columbus here?
It doesn't matter if they're undefeated. It doesn't matter.
Well, that's what
Ohio
they said.
State
Go ahead.
is Ohio State is Ohio State.
But they also said if IU could be in the playoffs with 1 loss.
Right.
That might happen. That might happen. Then your scenario with who your first cousin is married to and what their neighbor does
Yes,
and
exactly.
all that scenario
That's when
stuff.
that kicks
Well,
in.
and I think too, nobody's figured out how to slow down Indiana yet. And until somebody figures out how to slow them down, they're going to put points on the board. Can they get a good enough defense to shut down an Ohio State?
Can they put points on the board when their quarterback isn't playing? That's
Yes.
your question.
Yes, they can.
All right, there you go. All right, then if that's your answer, then you're 100% right. I'm not really sure if you take the number 1 quarterback off the team, if Tavon Jackson, who last year couldn't bust a grape as the starting quarterback, if he can lead that team. Now it all depends on my end how long Curtis Rourke is out.
Right.
So with 5 to 6 weeks left in the season, these are some of the scenarios that are playing out. You've got an IU, you now have Army and Navy that are some names
I think that's phenomenal, by the way.
Expected.
That's phenomenal.
In the Big 12, you've got SMU,
Iowa State,
and they're thinking, who? But these are teams that were not even in the conversation in August, and now they're Clemson. Yeah. No one thought Clemson would have a shot at the ACC, but right now they do.
Yeah, but the last 5 weeks, there's going to be more Alabama games where teams are going to get beat.
Well, that's what they're saying. The SEC
teams are going to get beat.
The SEC is just beating each other up in a meat grinder. Yet you've got IU that could show up in Columbus with 0 losses. You've got Army, Navy with 0 losses. The only losses they might have is Notre Dame,
yes,
which is non-conference to them. So it doesn't matter in the conference. It might in the playoff picture. And then you've got SMU that, you got K-State, you got Iowa State, and SMU in the Big 12.
Well, and the thing is, if Navy were to somehow beat Notre Dame on Saturday,
there ought to be an investigation. Hold on, time out for
free,
1 second. Time out for 1 second. I got my kid sitting over there. He is studying to be a funeral director. So let me ask you this question.
He's
all
a
right?
stiff.
All right, let me ask you this question because I know people are dying to get into your field.
Is he on a clock?
What did one casket say to the other casket? I don't know. Is that you coughing? Come on, bada bing. Go ahead.
He's here all week, folks.
What do you think of that? There you go. Is that you coughing?
Yeah.
All right. So my bad. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if Navy were to somehow beat Notre Dame on Saturday, the rest of their schedule, they're home free. They're home free, and they could be 11-1, and they could be one of those group of fives in the playoffs.
So here's your question: If Alabama runs it out and end up 10-2, and Navy is 11-1, I guarantee you Alabama's getting in before Navy is.
If they're 11-1 and a conference champion in the group of five, you got to think Navy's going to get in.
They may both be in 111 and 112, but again, the SEC, there's no telling what's going to happen the next several weeks, and that's where the independents like Notre Dame, they have to win out.
Yeah,
SMU
has to win out. Iowa State, they've got to take care of their business.
And I want to say something real quick about the broadcast.
The last time Iowa State had a football team that was any good.
Forever.
Brock Purdy.
Baby. I want to say something real quick about that broadcast on Saturday. That was disgraceful because those
Which
guys,
broadcast?
The Notre Dame Georgia Tech game, because that Louis Riddick, all he did the entire game, all those guys did during that entire game was talking about Notre Dame and their playoff chances and style points and this, that, and the other bull crap when they should be worrying about the ball game. The last thing that Notre Dame needs to worry, people need to worry about is the playoff. Focus on the game, do your job, and talk about the game.
Well, that's
I brought up Bill Belichick, and now you got to act like Bill Belichick here. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, okay, stop for a second. Major League Baseball.
Yes.
So the top three highest payrolls and highest payroll teams. The number one payroll team for most money spent are the Mets. The second are the Dodgers, and the third are the Yankees.
Yep.
So now you got the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series. It's a 2-3-2 format where you got your first two games at New York. You got your next three games at LA.
It's the other way around.
Oh, okay. So LA and then New York.
They open in LA.
And then you come back to LA. I think and the Yankees or the Dodgers haven't been in for a while. I think baseball is great when the Yankees do get in.
Yeah.
I do.
And they play the Dodgers.
Yeah, and they play the Dodgers. I would much rather have seen a New York World Series. I think that would have been really, really cool. But you're talking about star players, Judge, Ohtani.
You got
Mookie Betts.
The stars are out. And I'm looking here for a smooth $1,000, you too can get a ticket in the outfield for that game at Chavez Ravine on Friday night.
$1,000 for a ticket?
That's the going rate right now. But they play Friday and Saturday.
Heck, what you asked me last year about the Rangers buying a championship, and now you've got the top two payrolls in baseball in the World Series.
They bought championships, but the Dodgers were really intelligent. Either the Dodgers were really intelligent, or Shohei Ohtani just really wanted to play for the Dodgers because when they deferred that salary, that $600,000 salary or $600 million salary
on there,
and that's deferred for 10 years, and they don't have to count that salary among their salaries. That's brilliant. Why didn't other teams think that way?
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah, ask me a question. Go ahead.
Do you think baseball should have a salary cap?
Yeah, I think baseball should have a salary cap.
Do you think they should have a salary floor?
Yeah, well, no. They do have a salary cap because if you go over, you pay a threshold competitive balance threshold tax.
Do you really think the Dodgers or the Yankees care about the luxury tax?
They do not. They do not. But I tell you who does care about it is Jed Hoyer and the Cubs. I love the Cubs. I'm a Cub guy forever, but they're not going to sign somebody because they got to pay $2 million in a luxury tax deal. Are you kidding me? They got hotels, they got all that stuff that are making money.
I agree.
You
But
think Jerry Reinsdorf will actually sell the White Sox?
I think Jerry Reinsdorf will sell the White Sox, and I think the White Sox will head to Nashville. And so when you're going to Nashville to see your daughter, you can stop in and see the White Sox
They're
play.
going to have to find a place to play because they don't have a field right now.
Yeah, they'll
That
build
minor league
they'll build a
field is
stadium.
not big enough. Scott, before we go, I need to give out our 2 awards. Can you run my little car across here? And then we're also going to do our Stephen A. Smith Award, too.
This
We have
segment is brought to you by Frick's Driving School. Stop in at Frick's. It's fricksdrivered.com and get all your information there. You might even get to drive with the guy there in the middle.
Tomorrow, 4:30, I'm driving back at it.
I'm off the road.
Yeah,
I can't drive. I can't drive at all, man.
You may come. I'll drive by and
No, pick me up.
Yep.
Take
All
me to
right.
Rich's to get a haircut. I can't even get in the car and drive.
Our road team of the week. I've got a pro team for the second week in a row, but they came in second. Detroit Lions, courtesy of John Overmeyer, by the way. The Lions kicked a field goal. I watched that at the airport
Great
yesterday.
game.
It was
The
a great,
Lions are
great
good,
finish,
man.
wasn't it? The Lions and Vikings. That was a good ball game.
Good ball game.
But we've got to go to Austin, Texas. Number 1 ranked team in the country lays a fat ass egg. Georgia comes in there, and the coach says, "We didn't come here to take pictures. We came here to eat."
Kirby Smart was not Kirby dumb that night. That's
Oh.
what Kirby was very, very smart that night.
My road
You
team of the
didn't
week.
get in addition
It was
to eating,
that was an easy choice. We got to go with Georgia on that
well,
one.
in addition to eating, they could probably drink too with all the beer cans and stuff that got thrown on the
Well,
field.
yeah, well,
$250,000 fine, by the way, by the
kind of leads me
SEC.
into the next one. So put our Stephen A. Dumbass of the week up. That's all.
Goes to
The Stephen A. Smith Dumbass Award. We have 2 nominees this week. One would be the fans at Texas for throwing the shit on the field
I
because they
agree.
didn't like the pass interference play and whatever
It
else went on.
worked. They changed
The other,
the call.
they changed the call. Yes, they did. And Kirby Smart called them out on it.
Bullying
And my
works.
other, so we can have 2. Well, that's our college one. And the other one would be the pros, would be the fans at Cleveland for booing their own quarterback when he tears out his Achilles. If you watch the replay, that when his calf popped like that, you knew it looked like
Achilles, man.
It looked Aaron Rodgers all over again.
Yeah.
His calf popped. I go, that's an Achilles right there.
I mean,
When you showed the replay.
Deshaun Watson has had a tough run. First of all, he's 22 women who gave massages came back and said that he attacked them, and now he ruptures his Achilles.
Karma sucks. doesn't
That's
it?
a tough
I
run.
hope he's a
But
better football player than he is a
regardless-
person because he's not a good
it-
person.
That's a tough
Regardless
run.
of that, the fans in Cleveland, of course, they're
Yeah.
notorious for doing crazy stuff like that. So there's our 2 special awards for the night.
Yes.
I don't know. I would expect this stuff of Philadelphia people. They booed Santa
That-
Claus.
Well, yeah, but when someone
There's
personally
snowballs
gets-
at Santa Claus. Yeah.
when somebody gets hurt like that, you got to give it a little respect. But
Oh, I
be one
agree.
of your own players.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
Hey guys, real quick before we
yeah, you've got
sign off.
something
Yeah.
on a serious note.
Yeah.
We lost somebody today.
Yeah. This afternoon about 5:00, I was at work and we were refreshing my Facebook page, and a notice came across my Facebook. The longtime broadcaster and a very dear friend of mine, Tony Ross, passed away suddenly. I'm still trying to find out all the details of what happened, but Tony Ross is one of the guys that was really special in the business, who really cared about high school sports. We were friends for over 30 years. We were in the same journalism class at Purdue North Central. And he did a lot of great things down in Plymouth, was the sports director at Max 98.3, and was really responsible for a lot of schools like Triton and John Glenn and Bremen and all of those schools to get the kind of coverage he did. And he treated every one of those county schools like royalty. And it's just such a tremendous loss for us in the business. I mean, because he was one of the really good guys, and he was a very dear friend, and I'm going to miss him, and a lot of people are going to miss him very, very much.
So
And
they'll
it's just
miss him
sad.
on Friday night because he was going to be doing a ball game this
Yeah,
week. That's for sure.
Yeah, he had the passion. I mean, every January when the Bi-County was going on, he was there he devoted his whole week to that Bi-County tournament. and the loss that's going to be there is just going to be incredible.
So obviously this was a surprise.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh
this
yeah, because
is
he just did a
definitely a
game the
surprise.
other night. Yeah.
This is definitely a surprise.
Yeah,
So well, hey, let's talk. Where is John going? Who's
will-
going where this
Okay,
weekend?
John will be at Logansport for the Logansport Muncie Central football game on broadcastsport.net.
Right.
Daryl, I think, is going to Northwood for Northwood in Washington. And, of course, you and I will be over at Amzie Miller Field for the Gary West New Prairie game.
And Chuck said he's going to North Ridge, Mishawaka.
Walker, yep.
So
And-
he'll do a 4A game this week, and they're all on the internet. I think Chuck's is on YouTube.
Yep.
Ours is on broadcastsport.net, which is the same place you find us tonight, in addition to YouTube. So
Yeah, and you can find me. You can find me at 11 o'clock, Little House on the Prairie. At 12 o'clock, Little House on the Prairie. At 1 o'clock, Gunsmoke. And at 2 o'clock, Bonanza. You can find me
Wow.
watching those shows if you're looking
not
for me.
he will not answer the phone. Anybody
should-
has tried to call
Will
him,
not answer in that 4-hour block.
and,
Okay?
and his voicemail has been full since 1998. So don't
Yeah,
bother
I
leaving
got
a
no
message.
idea how to work it.
And a reminder, Pat, our game Friday night, it's an 8 o'clock Eastern kickoff because of the
everybody's
Western
everybody's central. So
Yep.
yeah, I'll have a curfew to worry about
Yep.
that.
pregame
Yeah.
7:30.
Well, yeah, and we do have a Bear game. The Bears had the bye. We have a Bear game Sunday at Washington.
Oh, the Colts won this week.
Colts, yeah, their Colts are something else.
Weren't
man.
they something?
Something else. But the
It's-
Bears are on Sunday. We're going to watch Caleb get better from week to week. But he's actually playing against Jaden Daniels in the Washington Commanders. But I don't know. Jaden Daniels might be hurt. I don't know.
That might
Right.
be a great game. Scott,
All right, man.
Scott, thanks for your help. We'll do this again next week. Again, tell everybody where they can find us, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody.
That
Great show, man. See ya.
will do it for this week's edition of Coach's Corner with Dr. Jim. As soon as we get finished playing
Thanks,
this down, Pat. We will see you guys next week. Quick shout out again to On Funeral Homes. If you find yourself in the unfortunate situation of needing to give them a call, drop in. It's 574-255-1474 On Funeral Home, and you can find them On Funeral Homes, plural, on the internet, onfuneralhomes.com. And of course, our main man, Tony Letcher. If you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, call Tony, 574-307-8882. Or you can visit his website. It's tletcher, TLETCHER.com. And we'll be back next week with another banger of an episode of Coach's Corner. Thanks for watching.